Good morning, everybody. I am here for our new community conversation this week, and we were with Dr. Kevin Kessler. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So we're over at the university here at the Performing Arts Center, which is pretty amazing. I saw there's some new signage outside, so it's kind of getting official looking out here. And how's everything in the new building?
We love it in the new building. It is, it's so fantastic that everything is in one place now.
Right.
It's acoustically perfect. It's logistically, again, so much better. Certainly with my job, Director of Athletic Bands, I dealt with a lot of instruments, and in the past we were always on this end of campus for marching band and for pep band, but the instruments were on the other side of campus. So just little things like that are making us so much more efficient as well.
So speaking on that, what is your official title here at the university?
So I'm Director of Athletic Bands.
Okay.
So I direct, of course, the Pride of the Dakotas and the basketball pep bands, but I also conduct the concert band and the CommUniversity band in the spring semester.
Okay.
I teach tuba and euphonium lessons.
Oh my gosh.
I teach conducting one. I teach a theory class with Jake Wallace, who's Director of Concert Bands, and every other year I teach a marching band techniques course.
I feel like this is a lot of classes.
Yeah.
It's good though. It's good to be busy.
It is.
But you do see a majority of the music students and even non-majors here on campus then a lot.
Yeah, especially as the teacher of the conducting one class, I see all of the music education majors because that first semester of conducting is not only the instrumental students but the vocal students all in one class just teaching or just learning basic conducting. So I get to see all of the music education majors. With team teaching the music theory class for freshmen, I get to see also those who are on our B.A. track for music entrepreneurship and music studies. And then, of course, with the Pride, I see
everybody.
I see a lot. I see a cross section of the campus, which is really fun. We were talking about this earlier that this year there were close to 60 different majors represented in that band. So I really get to meet a lot of people on campus,
which is amazing because it's not just music majors. It's everything. It's all the hard majors. It's electrical. Well, let's be honest, most of them are hard, but it's electrical engineering and pre-pharmacy and animal science. And so when you're looking at joining the Pride, you're registering and you're doing all the things, don't be talked out of it.
Right.
Because there is room and there's time, and as the director of the Pride, you can attest to you will work with people's schedules.
Correct, we do.
And I know that there's when you register for class, there might be a class conflict, but you guys do take that into account.
We do. We allow our students, if they have an academic conflict, like a lab they can't move, we allow for one missed rehearsal per week for an academic conflict. Or if students have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class that's on the other end of campus and they're going to be a little late, we work with that as well. So, and I think it's worth reiterating that some of the most rigorous majors on campus have the highest representation in the band. I mean, second only to music majors is pre-pharm and nursing and engineering. So those students have time to be in the band, and on top of that, the students who are in band have time to be in band and be academically successful. And I think proof of that is 90 of our marching band students made the Dean's List this semester.
I saw that.
Which is 41% of the band. And if you look at the university as a whole, it's 20 to 25% of the university population that makes the Dean's List. 40% of the Pride made the Dean's List, and 37 of those 90 students had 4.0s. So you can be in the Pride, you have time to be academically successful.
Well, and it's one of those things that is come up more now is kind of just mental health and the transition to college in general. And so I think that, we've been a part of a university community for such a long time that you see the trend where if a student comes in and they're part of an organization like the Pride, where you have that group of set friends automatically and you have that accepting group, your transition into college is, I don't want to say easier, but it's better. It affects you mentally to be able to have that group you can count on when you come here.
Exactly. I think the Pride has so many extra musical benefits to it.
Absolutely.
Just like that. It's it's a place for people. It's a home away from home. And we always talk about the pride being a family. And families have homes. And that's their section or just their little circle of friends that they gain from being in the pride. And I'm sure this is the same for you, having been in a college marching band, like I know you were, is that some of your closest friends to this day are those people that you met that first day of marching band when you were 18, 19 years old. And that's true for me. I ended up, my wife and I met in marching band. And so
Aaron and I ourselves. So
there's that as well. But it's that break in the day. And I think that's a reason that some of those students from those most rigorous majors find their way to marching band, because we work hard, there's effort to it, but it's different. It's just being outside. It's being with some people outside of a classroom and outside of those maybe 12 people that they see all day within their major. It's just that cathartic activity that you really need to be successful on a college campus.
So who inspired you to go into this field?
So I grew up in Laverne, Minnesota, and I was very fortunate that school and that community was very supportive of performing arts. We had a very strong choral program that I was part of. We had a very strong oral interpretation program that was highly successful at that school, and of course the band. And it's kind of a band town. We've hosted a band festival there for over 60 years, marching band festival. And so I was inspired by a lot of really talented music educators. Mary Goheen and Dolly Talbert, who was my choir director, and of course Dale Nelson, who was my band director. And he's the one who really got me excited about instrumental music. He's the one who told me that I needed to go to a music camp, and I needed to go to music camp at SDSU because I needed to take lessons with his college trumpet instructor, who was John Colson, and that's what got me here. So Dale was really was instrumental, no pun intended, but it's instrumental in getting me passionate about being a band director, because he was such a terrific educator. And I got up here and met John Colson, and the rest is history. I wanted to be here and study with him. That was the first time I played in a band with Jim McKinney, and played in a jazz band with Corliss Johnson, and sang in a choir with Chuck Keenan. And so those people really fueled the fire.
We had John at our Dine and Discuss this past semester, and you can see his passion for teaching and for playing and for SDSU is very evident even at, how old is he now? I know he's older.
Yes.
Retired.
But still very passionate, still writing books.
Yes,
It's amazing.
So besides your early influences, who do you look to now? Is there a composer that you love? Is there a band director out there that you look to? Is there a musical group that you look to?
Well, locally, I'm really inspired by the people I teach with.
Sure.
They are great motivators. And I don't mean that they come into my office and do that type of motivation. I'm motivated by just watching and listening to what they do.
Sure.
We have just such gifted artists, and it makes me want to be better every day when I walk in here. Sure. I watch Jake Wallace work with a band, or I watch Aaron Ragsdale perform and clinic across the country. Tammy Yance, just a couple doors down, is in Egypt on a Fulbright scholarship.
Right.
And Laura Diddle and her marvelous choirs, and she takes them on an international stage. And so I don't really have to look much further than just up the hall to be inspired musically. But I have, as far as composers go, there's a new generation of composers coming into band that are just really doing some amazing work. They're exploring some different things, electroacoustic music, and just exploring different sounds with the instruments, both the wind and percussion. And I think there's some spectacular new music being made.
Do you think that band literature in general is kind of moving in a new direction, just either looking for those different sounds, looking for those different timbres, or just writing kind of differently from what you would consider traditional concert band music?
Well, that's kind of been a trend for a couple decades now, is trying to move band into, I guess, to be considered more of a fine art form.
Sure.
The history of band has been very much based in
Marches
in
and
necessity, right?
Sure.
Service for military
Yeah.
and so forth. And so for a long time, their music was written for that purpose. But now it's being moved in and trying to really gain a foothold as a fine art. And so you're seeing more large scale works. Not symphonies written for band,
Right.
and yeah, there's again, I go back to a lot of the experimentation being done with electroacoustic music,
Sure.
and so I think the writing is different now, and there's some very exciting composition being done.
It's been a lot of like visual elements to things nowadays added to pieces, which puts a new take on how you have that experience when you come to a band concert. I love that they're trying new things and everything like that, and kind of expanding the genre of what is band music.
Yeah,
So,
lighting schemes are being either incorporated by the composer themselves,
Right.
making suggestions within the music, or conductors are taking the initiative
Right.
to incorporate lighting or just pictures up on a screen
Right.
that complement the music. Jake Wallace has used dancers
Right.
with his concerts, and it's brought a whole new level of experience to the consumer.
If somebody was looking to go into the band field, what advice would you give them?
Practice.
I would say that is every
Number one.
single person has said that. So,
But the other thing I would suggest is be a good listener.
Okay.
Really challenge yourself as a
Sure.
listener. I think I'm just as guilty of this as anybody. I like to listen to things that I like,
Right.
and sometimes I
No,
don't challenge myself enough as a listener to listen to something that is. Maybe not as tonal as you would
Right.
like to hear,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something that's to the avant-garde and really, again, explores some new sonic experiences. So challenge yourself as a
Okay.
listener, and you might find something that inspires you, or you might find something that, man, I really love that. I didn't think I would like that near as much
Right.
as I do. So practice, listen, and be around really good musicians. Just soak in as much as you can. If you're a young person who's playing in a band or an orchestra right now, I know I was guilty of this. I was so fixated on my part. I just wanted to
Right.
play the right notes. I just wanted to play the right rhythms. And what I would say to young musicians is start to be more observant of what your conductor is doing.
Okay.
If you're a brass player, start asking the woodwind players how they produce sound on their instrument.
Sure.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Talk to percussionists about how do you get that sound? Tell me about the instrument. Watch how their conductor is pacing a rehearsal. Just be more observant in the musical space that you're in.
I feel like it's always very interesting with these conversations is that there's usually a theme between artists, and it's usually practice whatever their craft is, get out there and push boundaries, and just not be afraid to take those risks, either musically or creatively, until you find kind of what you feel is your thing. And so, it's super interesting that, even in the visual arts and the music arts and even theater, like that's kind of the theme in the creative fine arts that people are looking at, like saying like that's what you kind of need to do. So besides all this band stuff and teaching 1 million classes and touching the lives of hundreds of students, what do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? Well, I have my family. I have my wife, Heidi, and I have my daughter, Carrie Ann, who, as you see, is an artist. She likes to come into the office. She is a spectacular visual artist. So What I do for fun, we like to spend a lot of time vacationing in the summer.
Okay.
Carrie Ann played some softball this summer, and I helped the team with that. I enjoy reading. I'm kind of a history nerd, so
Okay.
I love reading historical text. I read the big book that I read this summer, amongst others, but the big book I read this summer was Team of Rivals by Doris Goodwin.
Okay.
And it was about Lincoln and his cabinet.
Sure.
So just totally separated from music, which is okay, because
Yeah.
we need that break every
Yes.
once in a while, right?
Absolutely.
And I enjoy fishing, and I'm a really bad golfer.
Okay.
But I enjoy that too.
That's okay. You don't have to be good at things to enjoy to do them. So what's happening at SDSU? Big week. It's
Big
the what is the official title?
So this is the South Dakota Music in Service.
Okay.
So we have intercessions and concerts for our friends who teach vocal music and classroom music. Most of our vocal activities are on Thursdays, so there's reading sessions of new music. There are kind of clinics, pedagogy, teaching clinics that go on through the day, and concerts by some of the finest K-12 groups in South Dakota. We also host an elementary honor choir, which is directed by Barb Sletto from Des Moines. She's a marvelous music educator.
Right.
We're really excited to have Barb up here. And also a festival of women's voices this year as well, and a concert Thursday night that will feature them.
So Thursday's a choir day.
Correct.
I know honor choir is like 4:30. I have a daughter doing it. So and that one's open to the public.
It is.
And then the evening concert, is it open to the public?
It is
too?
also
Okay.
open to the public, yes.
Okay. So choir's Thursday. What's Friday?
Friday is the annual Bandmasters Convention.
Okay.
And that's kind of the same thing, but on the instrumental side. So
Okay.
we have Dr. Aaron Ragsdale is
Okay.
putting on a clinic that day.
Sure.
And we also have a number of bands from around the region, around the state that are going to perform.
Okay.
There are actually 2 bands from Aberdeen that are coming down to
Okay.
perform. One is a jazz band from Central, and then the Roncalli Concert Band is performing. 2 bands from Sioux Falls, Washington, and Memorial Middle School are both doing concerts. The University of South Dakota band will be here as well, and of course, all of those concerts are open to the public,
Okay.
and they are on our SDSU music website and sdstate.edu/music.
Okay.
You can find everything you need to know about the conference.
And that evening is the wind ensemble. like the
Friday
big
evening
concert.
is the wind ensemble,
Okay.
and some very exciting stuff there. The Zizek's saxophone quartet will
Okay.
be performing with the band, and we'll also have a world premiere.
Great.
Our composer in residence, William Linthicum Blackhorse, will be here all week. He's
Okay.
doing a week-long residency. Thanks to the generosity of one of our alum,
Right.
Lewis Whitehead, is seeing it that our composer in residence is here all week.
Well, and that composer's pretty amazing because he's not only a musician, but he's also a physicist,
He's
right?
a physicist. That was
Okay.
his undergraduate degree,
Okay.
and he worked as a physicist before going back to school and getting a degree in composition. So he's a fascinating individual.
Lots and lots of schooling, but amazing then. And he's talking to multiple departments here on campus. So he's got the physics department, and then where else?
Engineering. Speaking of engineering.
Then over here to the music department, and then helping do just some clinicking with the wind ensemble because they are premiering one of his pieces, right?
Correct. It's a
Okay.
piece for solo flute
Okay.
and band, and it's going to be absolutely marvelous. So that concert is Friday night. I believe it starts at 7 o'clock, and that piece will be premiered on that concert with the SDSU Wind Symphony.
Which would be great. I know that there's more information about the composer in residence up on SDSU's website
Correct.
as well, so that way you can read a little bit kind of more about him. And then you guys conclude on Saturday, but it's kind of clinics for band directors and stuff like that.
Yes. So Saturday is spent with a couple things. One, they do a reading clinic, and that's a collection of band directors bring
Right.
their instruments and they read music that they might want to use, take home with their band. And then, of course, during the weekend on Friday, there is a bandmaster's general membership meeting that they hold
Sure.
every year, and then that is concluded on Saturday, and the whole thing wraps up about 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon.
So it's lots of amazing music here at the Performing Arts Center here next week.
Yes,
So
it's a very exciting
Thursday
week.
and Friday, you could spend the whole day here listening to music, which would be a fantastic way to spend the rest of your day. Where do we go to find more information about how do we join the Pride? How do we come to all these concerts? What about SDSU's performance schedule for the rest of the year? Where do we go?
So everything, again, can be found on the website.
Okay.
sdstate.edu/music.
Okay.
And all of the information, if you want to learn more about the ensembles, there's just a little thing you can click on.
Okay.
And it will link you to all of the ensembles and tell you about the Pride
Okay.
and the vocal ensembles as well as the instrumental ensembles. There is a full calendar for the entire School of Performing Arts for theater, music, and dance on that site as well. And then as far as more information about the Pride, not only on the website, but we have a very active social media presence. We can be found on Facebook, we can be found on Instagram, we can be found on Twitter. So you can.
You guys are pretty hip over here.
Yeah,
so.
we try to be. I depend on Jake and Aaron to be hip, and I just try to keep up. But as far as learning more about how to join the band, that can be found on our website. But a couple important points about joining the band is that if you're an SDSU student and you want to be in the band, join the band. There is no audition. You get an academic credit for it. We meet 4 days a week. We perform for all the home football games, and as we discussed early on, it's very much a family. It's a lot of fun, and we do not turn people away.
Well, and I love that. I love that it's a place where it's kind of no stress for you to be able to know that you're going to come and you're going to be accepted into that group. It's a great group of kids. I know at games that they are what makes it part of the fantastic game day experience that is over there, and that the students love participating in that group as well. And it is important to say that, like, don't feel like you cannot join a music group when you get to college. Whether it is the Pride or whether it's joining a choir or in your concert band or in Jake's concert band, like, you can make time to do those kind of things. And like, if it's something that you love doing, there's room in your schedule.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And also, some of the concerns that I get from students, particularly with the Pride, are, well, my high school band didn't march. And that's okay, because I haven't done the numbers from this year's band, but last year's band, about 40% of the band came from programs that did not have competitive field marching. So some of them had never even marched on the field before, and some of them came from programs so small that they didn't even march parades. And I tell them it's not a problem. We coach you up. And then the other concern is, well, I don't know if I'm good enough. Look,
there is a place for everybody.
There is a place for everybody. And what we will do is we will take you from where you're at, and we will work with you to make you better, and you will get better, and you're going to have a good time doing it as well.
There's a new Pride promo video too, right?
There is.
Okay, and that's on Facebook and the university website?
It is. I believe the longer version is on the university website. But we have these short little 15-second, 20-second videos that tell people about the band that are on our Facebook page. We posted one at the first of the year, and that's still there. And then we just posted one at the beginning of this month that tells a little more of our story. And then we'll have a new one in March and a new one in April on the Facebook page.
So you can head to university website, the Pride of the Dakotas Facebook page, or the School of Performing Arts actually has a Facebook page as well. Or you can email kevin.kessler@sdstate.edu to get kind of more information. And then just this coming up week, all these amazing things happening here at State. So thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Bye.